Hello everyone and welcome to it's the 13th, isn't it, PHP tutorial in my series of PHP tutorials. Last time I forgot to tell you that you can use not only plus but all mathematic functions here. You can also use divide and multiply and minus and the modulus operator and all that stuff. But I'm not going to demonstrate that now. You can test that for yourself. So let's get started with our tutorial, which is going to be on something called arguments in functions, and it is kind of complicated. So just listen to what I say. You can actually start off by erasing all of this, and if I have a lot of typos or something, well, that's because that I quotation mark borrowed quotation mark my sister's keyboard, because my own makes some very loud noises because it has been used a lot. I think it's like 5 years old or something, so it has been used a lot, and therefore the buttons are pretty used up, and therefore it makes a lot of noises. But my sister's keyboard doesn't make so many noises. So anyway, if I make a lot of typos, then it's because that I got to get used to this keyboard. Anyway, let's get started. First of all, create a variable called x, and it doesn't need any value. Also a variable called y, and it doesn't need any value either. Now a function called we're going to call it modify. And don't think so much of the name, as you can call, just like you can name your variables any name you want to, you can also name your functions any name you want to. So I chose modify, and I'll type a and b in here in the parameters, which were so pretty and empty before, but now we got something in them called arguments. And this is arguments in functions, and that's what we're learning about today. So right now, this function called modify has two arguments, a variable called a and a variable called b. And what this function will do is that it will set the variable x equal to the variable a and the variable y equal to the variable b. And well, that might look a little strange, because x has no value, so it's being set to a, but a has no value either. So you may think like, okay, so we can assign a to a value like this. No, you can't. You can't assign arguments to a value in their parameters. You can't do that. We'll come to that later. You can't do that. So actually we're having a empty variable, and we set it equal to an empty variable, so you think that it should return 0, but well, just wait for it. We are going to assign values to a and b, and what we're saying with these two lines is that the value of a will be equal to the value of x, and the variable y will be equal to the value of b. So when we assigning, if we assign 10 to a, then x will be equal to 10 too, because of this line. And if we assign 20 to b, then y will be equal to 20 because of this line. But how can we make it actually visual to you guys, so you can see it visible? Well, you just create an echo statement. Echo x dot, well, just a space, dot y. Okay, so this will print out the value of x, then add a space, and then we'll print out the value of y. And the value of x is equal to the value of a because of this line, and the value of y is equal to the value of b because of this line. But again, a has no value and b has no value, so these are actually all zeros. If it has no value, PHP will automatically set the value of them equal to 0. So all of these variables are equal to 0. But now we're going to assign a value to a and b, and when we're assigning a value to a and b, that will also be the value of x and y because of this line. So we're going to say modify and we're going to modify 10 and 20. Okay, so before, when you called your function, you had nothing inside the two parameters, but if your function has arguments, and remember this is arguments, then when you call your function you have to define the value of the arguments. So what we're actually doing is that we're setting the value of a equal to 10 and the value of b equal to 20. And because of this line, now x will be equal to 10 and y will be equal to 20, because that's the value we entered right here. And then it will print out the value of x and y. So let's see if it worked. Save it and go into your web browser. Mine is Mozilla Firefox, and reload it. And as you see, it says 10, 20, and then well, that is exactly what I wanted it to say. So well, that's a good thing. And now I'm just going to give you a quick recap of what this does and how to use it. First of all, we have two empty variables called x and y, and then your modify function has two arguments, one called a and one called b, and this function will set the value of x equal to the value of a and the value of y equal to the value of b, and then it will print out the value of x equal to the value of y. And what you type in here is the value of a, and what you type here is the value of b. And we say that x is equal to a, so if x is 10, if a is 10, x will be 10 too. And if b is 20, then y will be 20 too. And then it will just print out the variables, and that is just what it did, so that's a good thing. So actually this was your tutorials on arguments in functions, and I don't know if it was complicated or anything, but if it was, and if you need help, then comment me, and I'll try and help you from there. So I'll see you in my next tutorial.